Hello, my name is Audrey, and I'm 37 years old. My biggest dream since I was 15 was to own my own home. So you can guess how surprised I was when my mother-in-law tried to evict me from my new home so she could live there with my husband. Of course, I couldn't let her get away with it, but before I continue anymore, let me give you some backstory. My family never owned our own place. We always rented. Regardless of my parents' financial standing, we always lived in an apartment. We moved apartments with every pay raise, but still. In fact, my parents still live in a rented apartment to this day. Anyways, I always admired my friends' houses growing up. I always wondered what it would be like to live in a big space that was all yours. I wanted to be able to furnish and decorate it the way I wanted to. So I pursued a career in a pretty niche field. It was risky, but I managed to find a great job that paid me really well. I saved up for a couple of years and managed to have enough for a sizable down payment. I took my best friend along with me, and together we searched through a bunch of houses to find the right one for me. It took us about a month of non-stop searching to find my perfect house. It was located about half an hour away from my workplace and in a great locality. It was a little pricier than what I had originally planned, but it would only take me a year longer to pay it off than I had originally planned. Anyway, with that, I moved into my own home. Over the next year, I began to turn my new house into my home. I made a few renovations by myself and then bought all the furniture to add a touch of me to my space. I was around 29 at this point. I had achieved my lifelong dream in the span of 14 years, and that had to be the thing I'm proudest of. But I had no one to share my joy with. I missed going out on dates and having someone to hold me after a bad day. I missed feeling my heart race whenever I saw the person I was infatuated with, so I turned to my best friend and asked her to set me up with someone. My best friend came through and found quite a few potential men for me to date, but I never clicked with any of them. One day, while I was waiting for yet another date that I was sure was going to fail, this stranger approached me. He was new in town and needed help finding his way around. He sat down with me and we began talking. This stranger's name was John, and he was the one I ended up marrying. That day, the two of us walked out of the cafe and headed to the park, where we walked for a bit and just talked. I had never in my life clicked with anyone the way I clicked with John. I found out that he was a lawyer who had moved from across country because of a great job offer he received. We exchanged numbers and began to hang out a lot more frequently. We had been going out for about 3 months when I decided to bring him back to my place. Up until then, I had kept my place off limits because I didn't want that to be the reason he stayed. Owning a house at my age told others that I had money, and I didn't want that to be a factor in being with me.
Whoa, this is your house?
Yep, all mine.
As in, you own this house?
Yes, darling.
You are one incredible woman. I hope you know that.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, really, in today's world, owning a house at your age is a crazy feat to accomplish. And you did it all on your own, yeah?
Yeah.
Incredible, I'm telling you, I'm the luckiest guy alive to have gotten to be yours.
Because I have a house?
No, because you're passionate. You decide what you want and you chase it till it's yours.
You're being way too nice, darling.
No, you deserve to be applauded, my dear.
Honestly, I think that's when I realized I wanted to be with John for the rest of my life. He didn't care that I had wealth. He cared more that I had worked hard to earn what I had dreamed of. After that, it was a steady fall in love with him. We had a lot of our things at each other's places. Just because I owned my own place, John never insisted that he stay at my place anymore. John lived with a couple of roommates, but still, he made sure I stayed over for equal amounts of time. He was just such a kind and perceptive man. He made me feel like I was worth something. It happened on a day that we were staying at his place. We were cuddling on his bed, watching some show, when he looked over at me and asked me to marry him. Of course I said yes. We waited for another year to save up for a big wedding. We invited our families and friends from all over the country. Our wedding had about 200 guests, and we were determined to have the time of our lives with them. It was at this wedding that I got to meet John's mother, Jenny. John wasn't the biggest fan of his mother and never really encouraged me to meet her. In the time we were dating, not once had he made the effort to go back home. He used to tell me it was too much drama and he wasn't in the mood for it. He did tell her about me though, so at least she knew of my existence. John told me that his dad had been the only one holding the family together. His dad was the one who could tolerate his mother and somehow calmed her down. That's how John had stayed sane for so long. But then, his dad passed away when John was in his last year of high school. After that, his relationship with his mother only got worse. She began to smother him to the point where he barely had any privacy at all. She was constantly snooping through his things and doing a bunch of weird things that she reasoned as doing for my adorable son. John had enough. So he took the first job he got far away from home and ran. I knew that I might struggle a bit with Jenny, especially because she smothered him that much, so it was no surprise when she showed up at our wedding looking disgusted with everything. At the reception, she approached John and me for what I thought were congratulations.
Ah, the newlywed couple. Mom, this is Audrey. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you to each other. I was too busy with work.
You don't have to lie, dear. I'm sure this woman is the reason you didn't come home to me. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize for anything, honey. Mom, I couldn't visit and Audrey had nothing to do with it. Be nice or I'll have you escorted out.
Whatever. You look very handsome, though.
Oh, but I look average next to my beautiful wife here.
Oh, hush. But Jenny, you look gorgeous, too. I love your dress. I'm gonna get a drink. I can't lie. That hurt. She didn't even know me, and she already decided I was some threat. John gave me the look and said, "I told you so," and I couldn't help but laugh. I put my feelings aside and decided to just enjoy the rest of the night. By the end of the night, I had completely forgotten about my interaction with Jenny. After that, Jenny flew back home and I never really heard from her for the next 4 years. She would invite John over for the holidays, but as soon as we would tell her that he and I would be glad to be there, she would make up an excuse about her plans changing so she would not be able to host us. Initially, I was hurt by the way she was avoiding me, but after the second year, John and I began to make bets about whether or not we would actually spend the holidays with her. I was fully expecting to never see Jenny again, but I was wrong. Jenny had called us one day, pretty late at night. I was a little worried, but John waved it off. He picked up the phone. "Hi, sweetie."
Hey, Mom, what's up?
So it turns out my house had a bunch of mold, and a lot of the wood rotted, and I need to be out of the house for the renovations. Do you think I could stay with you guys for a couple of months?
I don't know. You really don't like Audrey. Are you sure you want to spend time under the same roof with her for a couple of months?
Didn't you tell me the house belonged to her? Why don't you pass the phone to her and let her answer?
Okay, if that's what you want.
John handed me the phone and whispered to me to say no. Jenny asked me the same question. To be fair, even though I knew she wasn't the best person, I still wanted her to approve of me. Plus, she was family, and I couldn't leave family stranded like that, so I told her she could come over. John looked at me with wide eyes.
Why did you do that?
I couldn't leave her stranded.
She has other friends and family she could ask.
It's okay. Maybe she'll like me.
I don't know about that, but I'm telling you, if she does anything funny, I won't stop you from throwing her out.
She can't be that bad. Besides, I can't do that to family. I was wrong. She was worse than I had ever imagined. She was messy, and she was rude. She kept insulting me and the way I did everything. She acted entitled and constantly expected us, especially me, to do everything for her. She made us buy her all these fancy foods, and if she didn't like the food I cooked, she would demand that we buy her takeout. It was very physically and mentally draining to live with her, not to mention financially draining too. John kept telling me just to evict her. He told me he would be more than willing to help me with the legalities of it all. One time, she called me worthless and good for nothing just because I hadn't vacuumed her room because I was too tired from work. I had to literally hold John back from lashing out at his mom. But no matter what happened, I couldn't ask her to leave. She was family. I decided just to focus on work and earn money I needed to pay off the house. I had been anxiously counting down the months till I paid off my house. I was finally there in my last month. I waited and waited until the month ended to get paid. When I finally did, I paid off the last of the house. The rush of excitement and happiness was uncontainable. I couldn't believe how far I'd come. It took me a good couple of years, but here I was. I truly, in every sense of the word, owned my own home. I bought it all by myself. Of course, this good news had to be celebrated with John. I walked into his office where he was busy working over some case and excitedly told him about my news. Guess what?
Oh, you sound excited. I have a feeling where this is going, though.
Please just let me break the news to you.
Fine, what's up?
I paid off the house!
What? I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Look at you. Look at how far you've come.
I know, right? It's such a crazy thing. Wow.
Oh, but is it really crazy?
What do you mean?
You're you. In the time I've known you, you've never been one to quit. Like I told you the first time I came over, you're an amazing woman who was just destined to earn great things. Owning your own house is just the foundation for everything else you're capable of doing.
I love you so much. I don't know what I'd do without my own personal cheerleader.
You bet I'll be cheering you on until the end of time.
I rode the high of buying my own house for the next 2 weeks. It was something that I told everyone that was close to me. Everyone congratulated me. Funnily enough, Jenny congratulated me too. She prepared dinner for us one night in celebration. John and I were surprised by her sudden generosity. It got even more surprising when Jenny kept praising me for my achievement. John and I got through dinner awkwardly because neither of us knew how to react to his mother's new niceness. When we retreated to our own room, we couldn't help but laugh. I told him that something felt off about this, and John agreed that he felt the same. We decided that we would be a little more alert to all of Jenny's actions. I don't know what she had planned up her sleeve, but I was sure that there was something evil or stupid brewing. I was borderline paranoid for the next 2 days, but Jenny just kind of didn't do anything but be her regular self, so I let loose a little. Then it happened. Jenny told us that she wanted to prepare another dinner for us. Now John and I were on alert again. She was definitely going to do something. We couldn't figure out what, so we decided to just see what happened. Dinner time came and we ate pretty well. We only made small talk during dinner, which only furthered my confusion about the whole dinner. After we were done with dinner, Jenny told me she had something to tell me. I felt my stomach drop. Audrey, I need to talk to you about something. Yes? First of all, I feel like I should congratulate you once again for paying this house off. Thanks. Secondly, I need you to move out of here. Excuse me? Yeah, I will continue to live here with my adorable son. Why would I do that? Because I'm ordering you. This house legally became John's when you married him, and I'm sure he'll agree with me. And where will I live? You have enough money to find yourself another place. You do realize you could take your adorable son back home with you and live with him there if he wants to go with you, that is. Oh, about that. I kinda lied to you about why I came over here. What do you mean? My house got seized because of all the loans I wasn't able to pay off. So your backup plan was to rob me of my house when I paid it off? It's not robbery if it belongs to my son. I knew all of this was absurd, but I couldn't help being shocked at Jenny's audacity. I knew she was not the best person by any means, but to go this far? She lost her home, and her first thought was to sabotage mine? I looked over at John, who had been silent for the entire conversation I had with Jenny. He looked just as shocked as me. We made eye contact with each other, and he burst out laughing. Jenny and I looked at him in confusion. John continued to laugh for a good minute. He was laughing so hard he was clenching his stomach and wiping the tears from his eyes. Jenny looked irritated with every second that passed. Stop laughing! Either share it with us or shut up!
Oh, Mom, you're just so funny!
What do you mean?
This house doesn't belong to me.
Were you not listening to me, my dear? This house became yours the second you married her, honey. You're a lawyer. You should know about marital property.
I know all about marital property. Don't worry, but Audrey bought this house way before me. It's hers. It's not considered marital property.
But she only just paid it off.
Doesn't matter. It's all hers.
Oh, but I'm sure you'll be able to find some way to get the house off her hands so we could live together happily.
The sheer audacity you have to walk into Audrey's house, lie to her, treat her like crap, and then try to evict her is amazing. I would never live with you.
But son, I did it all for you.
You lost your house for me? Please, the only reason you didn't get thrown out these last few months is because Audrey kept telling me that I shouldn't treat my own mother that way.
You wanted me out of the house?
You treated the woman I love like she was trash. She bore with it silently and you didn't even let down. Tell me, why would I want you here?
Son!
Whatever, Audrey and I are calling it a night.
John grabbed my arm and led me to my room. As soon as we shut the door, the both of us burst out laughing again. We were laughing in shock. I knew that Jenny was brewing some stupid plan, but this had to be the height of stupidity. We calmed down and decided to focus on figuring out what to do next. There was one thing that we were both on the same page about. We were not okay with Jenny lying to us. We didn't like how she thought she could steal either. That was the final straw for me. I will take all the bullying and all the insults, but meddle in my things and I will unleash hell. John was surprised by how angry I was. He asked me if I'd like to draw up the notice to quit he'd been asking me about for months. I was a little hesitant to do that because I didn't want Jenny to be homeless, but John assured me that his mother had another family that she could live with. I decided that we would give her the notice and that we would buy her the ticket to get out of here. 2 days later, I handed Jenny the notice. Her eyes widened as she read the notice that I gave her 1 month to leave my house. What is this? You can't leave me stranded and homeless for wanting the best for my son. We're not leaving you homeless. Unlike you, we don't plan on entirely leaving you destitute. I'll book you a flight to wherever you want, but that's it. John, say something. Are you really gonna let your wife evict me like this?
Oh, I drafted the notice for you. And I don't see why it's unfair when you tried to do the same to Audrey.
I can't believe that both of you would do this to your own family. Oh, please, Jenny. You literally tried to do this to me. If you're trying to get us to sympathize with you, you'll need to work harder on that. John, please don't do this to me.
Look, if this was all you had done, I would have been on board with letting you stay here until you found your own place. But this is on top of the way you treated Audrey. You deserve this. I hope you grow from this. That's all I have to say.
Over the next month, Jenny kept trying to convince us to let her continue staying with her. But neither of us wanted to deal with her any longer. When it came time to leave, she decided to go stay with her brother. He would help her get back on her feet, but John made sure to warn him about Jenny's behavior that caused her to get kicked out of my place. His uncle assured him that he would keep a watchful eye on Jenny, and if she tried anything funny, he would kick her out immediately. After Jenny left, John and I were just happy to have our space back to ourselves. I finally felt like I could breathe in my own home. I had not realized just how restricted I had felt until Jenny left. That night, John and I celebrated with wine, junk food, and crappy reality TV. John decided to keep low contact with his mom. The only time he ever spoke to her was whenever she called, which she did once a month. Apparently, she was still salty about how things hadn't worked in her favor. She complained about how her brother was being too strict with her and that she was upset we told him everything. I'm just glad someone was holding her accountable and putting her in her place. In the end, I worked hard for my dream, and nobody, not even family, could take that away from me. If there is something that I want to tell you through this experience of mine, it is to never give up on your dreams and to always surround yourself with people who truly value and care for you. Believe me, there's no greater feeling than sharing your happiness with someone who wants to share it with you because they love you.